I sat in the staff
I
break
sat in the
room for
staff
3
break
hours
room for
watching the
3
sheet
hours
cake from
watching the
Costco
sheet
melt under
cake
the
from
fluorescent
Costco
lights,
melt
the
under the
coffee in the
fluorescent
pot turning
lights,
thick and
the
bitter,
coffee in
and
the
the
pot
balloons I'd
turning
hung
thick
that
and
morning
bitter,
starting to sag
and the
against the wall,
balloons I'd
while the
hung
banner
that
still
morning
said,
starting to sag
"Congratulations,
against.
Dorothy." 40 years of
Against the
caring, but the
wall while the
exclamation
banner
point
still
felt like a
said,
lie by 8:30
"Congratulations,
p.m. when
Dorothy,
I
40
finally gave
years
up
of
and started
caring."
packing
But
everything
the
away because I'd
exclamation,
clocked out at 5 on my last shift as a registered nurse at Seattle Grace Hospital. I'd invited 32 people from my floor and 3 came, not because they were busy with emergencies or stuck in traffic or dealing with family crises, but because they were upstairs at a different party. A celebration for a 28-year-old who just made charge nurse, and when my mentee arrived in tears to tell me where everyone was, I realized that 40 years of loyalty, of covering shifts and training new nurses and working every holiday, had earned me exactly what I'd given myself. A Costco cake and balloons I'd bought alone. If you want to know what happens when you spend 4 decades giving pieces of yourself to people who don't give back, when you finally learn that loyalty only flows one direction, and how a letter from your dead husband becomes the permission you need to choose yourself over everyone who's been choosing themselves over you. Hit that subscribe button right now because this is about the moment you realize that being convenient isn't the same as being valued, and sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is the word no. I'm from Seattle. Where are you watching from? My name is Dorothy Harrison, but everyone calls me Dot. I'd been a nurse for 40 years, almost all of them in the cardiac unit on the 4th floor of Seattle Grace Hospital. I raised 2 kids in a split level in Ballard while working rotating shifts. I was married to Frank for 38 years before a stroke took him 4 years ago. And on what should have been a celebration of 4 decades of service, I learned that loyalty only flows one direction, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'd planned the party for months. Not the hospital, they'd sent one generic email about my last day. Me. I bought the cake, the decorations, even those little finger sandwiches from the deli. I sent personal invitations to everyone on the cardiac floor, everyone in the ICU, the ER nurses I'd trained, the supervisors I'd covered for over the years. I made a slideshow, 40 years of photos. Me as a fresh-faced 24-year-old in 1984, me holding newborns in the cardiac nursery, me with patients who'd sent Christmas cards for 20 years. At 5:15, I texted the charge nurse, Christine, setting up in the break room, come by anytime after 5:30. At 5:45, I sent a reminder to the group chat, cakes getting eaten with or without you all. Smiling face with smiling eyes at 6:30, Dr. Martinez from cardiology stopped in, grabbed a piece of cake, said congratulations, and left. He had surgery. At 7, Rosa from environmental services came. She'd worked nights for 15 years, always said hello. We ate cake together in silence. At 7:30, my mentee Emma appeared. She was 26 in her second year as an RN. I'd taken her under my wing, taught her things they don't put in textbooks, how to talk to a dying patient, how to advocate for someone who can't speak, how to keep going when a code doesn't work. Dot, she said, and her eyes were red. I'm so sorry. It's okay, honey, people are busy. No, she sat down hard in one of those plastic chairs. It's not okay, they're not busy. They're upstairs, my hands stopped arranging napkins. What? Mia's promotion party. She made charge nurse today. They're in the conference room on 7. There's catering, wine. I saw the email chain this morning. They've been planning it for 2 weeks. I felt something cold spread through my chest. Not surprise, not exactly, more like confirmation. Who's there? Everyone. Christine, Susan, both Jennifers, Marcus, Dr. Patterson. The whole cardiac team. Emma's voice cracked. I told Christine I was coming here. She said, oh, that's tonight, like she forgot. But Dot, she didn't forget. She chose. I should have cried. That's what I expected to feel, that hot pressure behind my eyes. Instead, I felt nothing. Just a strange, clear emptiness, like a room after everyone leaves. Thank you for telling me. I'm so angry, Emma said, 40 years. You trained half those people. You covered their shifts when their kids were sick. You stayed late every single time someone needed you. I looked at the cake. Help me put this stuff away. We boxed up the decorations in silence. Emma kept muttering under her breath about how wrong this was, how they'd regret it. I didn't say much. I was thinking about a pattern I'd been ignoring for years. Frank and I moved to Seattle in 1983. I started at Seattle Grace 6 months later, pregnant with Sarah. The hospital was smaller then, more personal. We knew each other's birthdays, brought casseroles when someone's parent died. Covered shifts without question because that's what family did. But somewhere around the 2000s it changed. The hospital got bigger, management changed, the staff got younger and I got older, the casseroles stopped. The birthday cards stopped. People still asked me to cover shifts, but they stopped offering to cover mine. When Frank had his stroke, I was at work. It happened at home in the garden. He was 62. Our neighbor found him 3 hours later when she noticed the hose still running. I took 2 weeks off. When I came back, people said they were sorry. A few brought cards, but within a month, it was like it never happened. They asked me to work holidays again, asked me to train new nurses, asked me to take the worst assignments because you're so good with difficult patients. I said yes every time. My kids visited twice in those first 6 months. Sarah came from Portland, stayed 2 days, spent most of it on conference calls for her marketing firm. Nathan flew in from Phoenix, stayed one night, seemed uncomfortable the whole time. They both kept asking about the house. Mom, this place is too big for you now, Sarah said, standing in my kitchen, the kitchen where I'd made them breakfast before school for 18 years. Your mother's grieving, I told her. Can we talk about this later? But they brought it up again at Christmas, and Easter, and Frank's birthday. The market's good right now, Nathan said last Thanksgiving. You could get $500,000 easy, move into a nice condo. Wouldn't have to worry about yard work. I like my yard, I said. Your father planted those roses. Dad's gone, Sarah said, not unkindly, just factually. And you're not getting any younger. What if you fall? What if something happens? What she didn't say, what if something happens and the house gets tied up in probate? What if you have medical bills? What if there's nothing left for us? I heard her anyway. The only person who kept showing up was Emma. She started in cardiac 2 years ago, terrified and eager. I saw myself in her, the girl from a small town who wanted to save everyone. I taught her how to start IVs on rolling veins, how to calm a panicking patient, how to chart so you're protected if something goes wrong. She came to my house for dinner once a month. She asked about Frank, looked at photos, listened to my stories. She asked about my kids. How's Sarah? She said one Sunday over spaghetti. Busy. When was the last time you talked to her? I had to think about it. She called 3 weeks ago, needed to know where Frank's life insurance papers were, something about updating her own policy. Emma's face did something complicated. And Nathan, Christmas, she put down her fork. That was 4 months ago. They're busy, I said automatically. They have their own lives. Do they ever ask about yours? I didn't answer. 3 weeks before my last shift, I was cleaning out the attic. I'd been avoiding it for 4 years, but I was finally ready to sort through Frank's things. In a box labeled Dorothy open when ready, I found letters. Frank's handwriting on the envelopes, dates, one for our anniversary. One for my birthday, one labeled if I go first. I opened that one with shaking hands. It started. If you're reading this, I'm gone, and I'm so sorry I had to leave you. But there are some things I need to say while I still can. You're the most giving person I've ever known. It's one of the reasons I fell in love with you. But honey, you give pieces of yourself to people who don't give back. I've watched it for years, and it breaks my heart. The kids, I know you love them, but they only call when they need something. When's the last time Sarah asked how you were doing, really doing? Without following it up with advice about the house or your retirement. When's the last time Nathan visited without an agenda? The hospital, you've given them 40 years. You've worked holidays, weekends, doubled back when they were short. You've trained dozens of nurses who have moved on to better positions while you stayed. What have they given you? A paycheck. That's a transaction, not loyalty. I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying it because I won't be there to remind you. You deserve to be loved the way you love. You deserve to be chosen, not convenient. When I'm gone, don't let them take everything. Not the kids, not the hospital, not anyone. You've given enough, live for yourself. Find joy for yourself, choose yourself, you owe them nothing. I love you forever, Frank. I read it 5 times. Then I sat on the dusty attic floor and cried for the first time since his funeral, not because he was gone. Because he'd seen what I'd been denying. That's when I decided to have the party. A test, maybe, or a hope. I wanted to be wrong about what I was seeing. I wanted to believe that if I created the opportunity, they'd show up. That 40 years meant something. I was wrong. The morning after my last shift, I woke up to a text from Christine. So sorry I missed your thing last night. Crazy day. Let's grab lunch before you disappear on us. Smiling face with smiling eyes, that was it. No acknowledgement of why she missed it. No explanation. Just a vague lunch promise I knew would never happen. I got up, made coffee, sat in my backyard. It was late June, that perfect Seattle summer morning before it gets hot. The roses Frank planted were in full bloom. The house was paid off. Frank's pension and my savings meant I was comfortable. Not rich, but comfortable. I thought about Frank's letter, you owe them nothing. I picked up my phone and called my friend Barbara. We'd been nurses together for 30 years before she retired to travel with her husband. How was the party? She asked. I told her everything, those ungrateful she didn't finish. I'm sorry. I'm not sad, I said, surprised by my own voice. I'm clear. What are you going to do? Something different. The next day I made 3 phone calls. First, I called the volunteer coordinator at the hospital. I'd signed up to volunteer 2 shifts a week after retirement. Train new nurses, they'd said. Share your wisdom. I need to cancel my volunteer agreement, I told her. Oh no, is everything okay? Everything's fine. I've just decided to spend my time elsewhere. But we're counting on you. You have so much experience. And I'm choosing to share it somewhere it's appreciated. Second, I called my financial advisor, Richard. Frank and I had been careful with money. The house was worth about 600,000. I had 180,000 in retirement savings. Frank's life insurance had been 200,000. I want to set up a nursing scholarship, I told him, for students from rural areas who want to work in cardiac care. 100,000 to start. That's very generous, Dorothy. Are you sure you can afford? I'm sure. And I want it called the Frank Harrison Memorial Scholarship for Rural Nurses. Beautiful. What about your children? Have you discussed this with them? My money, my decision. Third, I called my lawyer, Margaret Chen. She'd handled Frank's estate. I need to update my will, I said. We met that afternoon. I told her what I wanted. Dorothy, I have to ask, are you sure about this? It's going to cause conflict. I'm counting on it. I didn't tell the kids immediately. I wanted everything locked down first, non-negotiable. Emma came for dinner that Saturday like always. She took one look at me and said, "You did something. What makes you say that? You look different." Later, I told her about the scholarship, about canceling my volunteer shifts. Her eyes got shiny. That's amazing, but won't the hospital be mad? They'll survive. They're very good at moving on. And your kids? Don't know yet, she grinned. This is going to be interesting. 2 weeks later, Sarah called. Mom, I heard from Christine that you're not volunteering at the hospital. What happened? I changed my mind, but you were so excited about it. I was excited about being valued, different things. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm making different choices now. There was a pause. This is about the party, isn't it? Mom, people are busy. You can't hold a grudge forever. I'm not holding a grudge. I'm just not giving my time for free to people who couldn't spare 3 hours. That's petty, maybe. But it's my time to be petty with. Another pause. Listen, I actually called because Nathan and I were talking. We think it's time to seriously consider selling the house. You're 64, Mom. What if you fall? What if no? What? I'm not selling the house. Mom, be reasonable. You're alone in a 3-bedroom house. It's too much. And frankly, you're sitting on a lot of equity that could what, Sarah, fund your kids' college. Pay off Nathan's second mortgage? Silence. I'm not selling the house, I continued, my voice steady. I'm not moving into a condo. I'm not making decisions based on what you think is best for me. I'm 64, not 94. I'm healthy, I'm clear-minded, and I'm done being managed. This isn't like you. Maybe it should be. Nathan called 3 days later. What did you say to Sarah? She's really upset. I told her I'm not selling the house. Mom, we're just trying to help. You're alone now. We worry. When's the last time you visited Nathan? It's been busy. Work is crazy right now. Christmas 8 months ago, you stayed 18 hours. That's not fair. I live in Phoenix. I can't just, but you can call about the house. You can call about my finances. You can call when you want something. We're your children. We're family. Family shows up, Nathan. Family asks how you're doing without an agenda. When's the last time you asked about my life, about what I do with my days, about whether I'm lonely or happy or struggling? He didn't answer. I found letters from your father, I said quietly, written before he died. He was worried about exactly this, about you and Sarah treating me like a resource instead of a person. That's not true. We love you. Then show me. Not with advice about what I should do with my house, not with concern about my finances. Show me by being present. I don't know what you want from us. I want you to want to know me, not manage me. He hung up. Sarah called an hour later. Nathan said, you're being impossible. What's going on with you? I'm setting boundaries. It feels impossible because you're not used to hearing no. This is cruel, Mom. We're trying to help and you're trying to help yourselves to my house equity. There's a difference. I can't believe you just said that. Your father could. He wrote it in a letter before he died. He saw it coming. She was quiet for a long moment. We never meant we love you. Answer one question honestly. When's the last time you called just to talk to me, not to ask about the house, not to give advice? Not because it was a holiday, just to hear my voice? She couldn't answer. When you can, I said, call me. We can have this conversation again. I hung up, feeling shaky but clear. The next few weeks were quiet. Neither kid called. I wasn't surprised. When the purpose disappeared, so did the contact. But Emma kept coming. Every Saturday we had dinner. She told me about her week, her patience, her fears about making mistakes. I told her about my new volunteer work at the free clinic in Georgetown, about my garden, about the books I was finally reading. Have you heard from them? She asked one night. No, I'm sorry. I'm not anymore. Your father used to say you can't force people to see you. You can only decide who you let see you. Your father sounds like he was wise. He was. He left me letters. Advice for after he was gone. What did they say? That I deserved to be chosen, not convenient. Emma reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You are chosen by me, by the patients at the free clinic, by the nursing students who will get that scholarship. I got a letter from Sarah, not an email, a real letter. Mom, I've been thinking about what you said about when I last called just to talk. I couldn't answer because I couldn't remember. And that's terrible. Nathan and I have been talking. We've been awful. Not intentionally, but that doesn't matter. Impact over intent, right? You taught me that. We got so focused on what we thought you needed, a smaller house, financial security, a plan, that we forgot to ask what you wanted. We forgot to ask about you. I'm sorry, not sorry we got caught. Sorry for what we did. I don't know if this is too late. I don't know if you want to hear from me, but I'm calling Friday night at 7. No agenda. No house talk, just to hear about your week. If you answer, I'll know there's a chance. If you don't, I'll understand. I love you, Sarah. I read it 3 times. Part of me wanted to ignore it to protect myself. But another part, the part that had raised this girl, rocked her when she cried, taught her to read, that part wanted to try. Friday at 7, my phone rang. Sarah, I answered. Hi, Mom. Hi, honey. How are you? Really? We talked for 2 hours about my volunteer work, about her job stress, about her kids, about the roses in the yard, about a book I was reading, about her marriage, about nothing important and everything important. At the end, she said, "Can I call again next week? Same time? I'd like that." We started slowly. Friday calls, then she visited in October, just her, no agenda. We cooked together, walked through the neighborhood, talked about Frank, about her childhood, about what I wanted from the rest of my life. "I'm proud of you," she said before she left, "for the scholarship, for the boundaries. For choosing yourself. Your father would say it's about time." He'd be right. Nathan never called. Emma said he told people I'd changed, become selfish, that grief had made me bitter. It hurt. But I couldn't force him to see what he didn't want to see. In November, the first Frank Harrison Memorial Scholarship was awarded. Her name was Crystal, from a town of 900 people in eastern Washington. She wanted to be a cardiac nurse like her grandmother, who died from a heart attack because the nearest hospital was 2 hours away. We had coffee. She told me about her life, her dreams, her fears about being good enough. "My grandmother always said nursing is about seeing people," she said, "really seeing them, not just their diagnosis." I thought about 40 years of seeing people, patients, colleagues, my own children, and about learning to let people see me. In December, I turned 65. Sarah called to wish me happy birthday. We talked for an hour. She didn't mention the house once. "Are you doing anything special?" she asked. "Emma's coming for dinner, Barbara and her husband. A few friends from the free clinic." "That sounds perfect, Mom. You sound happy." "I am. I'm glad. I'm so glad." On my birthday, 6 people came to my house. We ate too much food, laughed too loud, told stories. Emma gave me a painting of my rose garden. Barbara gave me a book about women who started over after 60. At the end of the night, Emma helped me clean up. "This is what you deserved," she said, 40 years ago, last June. Always, I'm getting it now, that's what matters. I'm 65 now. It's been 18 months since that empty break room, since I stopped giving myself away. Nathan and I still don't speak. That's his choice, and I've made peace with it. But I have Sarah back, imperfectly, with work, but genuinely. And I have Emma, who reminds me every week that family is something you build, not just something you're born into. The scholarship has helped 3 students now. Crystal writes me emails about her clinical rotations, asks advice, shares her struggles. She reminds me why I became a nurse in the first place. My life is quieter now, smaller in some ways, but it's mine. I'm not waiting anymore, not for people to appreciate me, not for permission to want more, not for my own life to feel worth living. That night in the break room with the melting cake and sagging balloons, I thought I was learning about betrayal. But I was wrong. I was learning about freedom. Share your story with us. Have you ever given years of your life to people who couldn't spare hours for you? Have you ever realized that being convenient isn't the same as being valued? Your time matters, your loyalty deserves to be reciprocated, and you don't owe anyone pieces of yourself just because they've learned to expect them. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is permission to stop, to choose yourself, to build a life that's smaller but entirely yours. That night in the break room taught me that 40 years of loyalty doesn't guarantee 40 minutes of appreciation, but it can teach you who deserves your next 40 years. And sometimes that's the most valuable lesson of all.